All right, it is January 13th, bringing you a Lake of the Ozarks fishing report before the deep freeze. The report is brought to you by James and Denise Dale Guide Service down here on Lake of the Ozarks. If we can ever help you down here at the lake, please give us an opportunity to talk to you about a trip and set up a special trip for yourself or a family member or kids or whoever. We gear our trips around you, the customer, and what you'd like to get out of the trip, whether it be educational, catching crappie, catching bass, learning electronics, whatever it is. We set the trip up for you guys. So with all that being said, we've got some lake conditions. They're pretty stable right now, but they're about to change. Denise and I was out several times this week, mainly crappie fishing, but we did do some bass fishing too. Lake level is 658.5 right now. It's down about 6 inches in the last 3 days, I believe it is. They've been running anywhere from, 58 to a little over 10,000 cubic foot. I'm sure they brought it up last week or so. I was thinking more for letting people get stuff off their docks, off their lifts. But I really think they've seen the extended forecast and this deep freeze. There's going to be a huge electrical demand, not only for the lake area, but up towards St. Louis, where they send a lot of this electricity that they generate down here at Bagnall. So, that little bit of current has been going through the dam, and that's been drawing that lake down. Obviously, the winter drawdown is supposed to have started, so I'm going to say this is the beginning of that. So we're going to get into pretty quick, rapidly dropping water level along with the temperature. We were out, what was the temperature the other day? 45, 45 and a half still. And that was what, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday probably. And it was pretty stable, right there. So those fish are, when it's 45, 46 in mid-January, those fish, they know it's time. They need to be thinking more winter related banks, feeding habits, what have you, but until that water really makes that drastic drop in temperature wise, they're kind of in between, I believe. We caught some fish still towards the backs, and they're not necessarily towards the backs, but right off of the bank. Niece caught several fish on a stick bait, and they were like first twitch in, throwing it right on the bank and twitching it down, and stopping it, and they were hitting it right there. And we were, probably, I was asking her if she felt it hit the bottom, because a lot of times that stick bait up on the bank, if it's not necessarily a steep bank, it comes down, and as soon as you feel it hit that bottom, kind of hit it, that's where you stop it and you let it sit there, because them fish, a lot of fish are on the bottom. And if it hits and kind of disturbs them rocks and move them rocks, it'll kind of get their attention to come over and grab that bait, which is a big deal in the wintertime. A lot of these fish start relating to the bottom more, I think. I think they lay on the bottom, and I don't know if they absorb heat off of the bottom, if it's just easier for them not to tread water and they lay on the bottom. I'm not sure what it is, but a lot of fish that you see that we catch on either the Alabama rig or stick bait, you see them come off of the bottom, even in 12, 15 foot of water. You don't see anything, and you're working that stick bait or that jerk bait, Alabama rig, what have you, and you see them fish come up off the bottom and hit that bait. So it tells us they're on the bottom. They're not necessarily always suspended when they hit these jerk baits or the Alabama rig or something up through the water column. So let's see since the last report, we fished the Bass and Bob Winter Series last weekend. About what we expected. There was several teams, from 10 to 13 pounds maybe, which is about normal in the winter. But then you've always got a few guys, I say a couple that really figure them out, or they know what's going, or they're really keyed in on how to work a bait, or just what's going on. You know, who was Austin Culberson won? What did he have? 19? 18?
20.
Somewhere around 20 pounds. You know, a good bag. I think it was 19. And then we had Brad and Brock. Was that right? Yeah, because they fished together, and Austin fished with Brock's dad. Anyways, and they were real close together. So that kind of tells you, you know, they know what's going on, and I'm sure they talk a little bit as far as what's going on. You know, and they both had good solid bags. I think 18. One had 18. One had 19. Something like that. And then from there, then somebody had 16 or 17.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. And then, you know, and then it kind of dropped off down to probably 14. I think Adam had 14, and Weezy and them had 13. So it was, you know, down, you know, about normal. What was, how many boats? 55, 56 boats. So a pretty good amount of anglers, you know, to kind of get a good feel of what's going on. So, you know, Denise and I, we only had 3 fish. We had 3 fish for 7 pounds. We had been out earlier that week, and obviously we was catching our better ones on jigs and swamp bugs. Found 2 different creeks, had them in it. You know, I'm not going to say we didn't have our opportunities. We had a couple opportunities. You know, you're only looking for 5, maybe 5 to 7 bites a day. And if you miss 2 or 3, or you lose 1 or 2, it kind of hurts you in the wintertime when you're getting that, you know, few bites. So I'm not going to say we didn't have our opportunities, because we did. Probably around that 12, maybe 14 pound range, maybe. I don't know. You know, who knows? You never know. But either way, you know, so looking forward, we got, what's temperature? Temperature's going to be, I think it's 10 degrees out right now. And it's going to be cold, windy. You can see the steam coming off the water right now. So I'm going to say in a week time, what's today? Friday? Saturday. Today's Saturday. That's right, the Chiefs play today. So it's Saturday. So you give it 1 week. I'm going to say the water level is going to drop at least a foot, at least. And the water temperature is going to drop at least 5 degrees. 2 major changes, 2 drastic changes in 2 of the prime things that move fish or make them change where they're setting up or what they're relating to. So we got 2 of those major things happening in the next week. So any of these fish that have been hanging out in the backs, or maybe hanging out on some flatter stuff, I expect them to move to these channel banks, steeper banks. I don't care if it's a bluff bank out on Main Lake, or a bluff bank back in the creek. 45-degree banks in the creeks, Main Lake, whatever. I think they're going to back off to these banks and suspend down, either lay on the bottom like we were talking about, down there in 8 foot of water, or maybe a little deeper where that water temp's not dropping. That water at 8-10 foot, it's not changing temperature. It's that stuff above it. They pull that water level down. What's the difference between 9 foot and 10 foot to the fish? Nothing right now. So those, you know, it's a stability thing, stable water conditions. So that's kind of what, at least our experience, you know, throughout the history, as far as fishing is, that's kind of what the fish will do. They'll tend to.
We could, yeah. We could be in the upper 30.
Oh, definitely 38 to, I'll say 38 to 42. You know, depending on where you're at.
It'll change things.
It'll change things. So, you know, the baits, they're not going to change. Kind of like we talked about a week or so ago. They're not going to change. The only thing that'll change is maybe your actions. Presentation, exactly. Obviously, me and Denise fish obviously all the time together. We have two different styles of fishing, two different ways of fishing. If you ever see us on the lake and see us across the cove, you'll probably see us or hear us discussing the differences of those styles while we're fishing. You might hear us out there. But either way, I usually reach for the old swamp bug, the Crappie swamp bug. I like this moss candy. I rig it on a 1/4 ounce Crappie shaky football head. I throw it on 10-pound fluorocarbon. I use 100% Berkeley. You've got all these different brands. They might be all created kind of equal. I just use what I have confidence in, what I've used for the last 20 years, 25 years, and that's Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon. Same thing with my rods. I've been throwing Falcons for the last 25, 30 years. I've got confidence in them, and I trust them. St. Croix makes a good rod. Dobbins makes a good rod. Cashin, St. Croix, you name it. Everyone's got good rods. Virtus, there's a lot of good rods out there. Find one you're comfortable with, you like, and use it. And when you find one you're used to, stick with it.
It's like a good glove.
Yeah, it's you don't change when you have good luck with things. So reels. I've got it. Like I said before, I got this on a Lose Hyper Mag, 8-to-1 gear ratio. My big thing with this is it's very light, very compact, pretty durable in the winter. Same thing with reels. I've got Bass Pros, Pro Qualifiers. I've got the Daiwa Tatulas, and I've got these Lures. Each one to me has their place and time. Main deal is I'm comfortable with whichever one it is for whatever application I'm using it. So same deal. If you're using a rod or reel and you're comfortable with it and it feels good to you, stick with it. Like I said, jig fishing, swamp bug fishing, bottom bait, it's all about the feel. So the lighter you can get with your reel, your rod, and even line, the more you're going to feel these very, very subtle bites.
This time of year, the bite is so different, and every time one of us gets a bite, we always, I for sure ask Jim, what was the bite? What did it feel like? And it's heavy. There's not that, definite bite. So you really have to be in tune with how everything feels to be able to sense that bite and know, there's a fish there, set the hook, and your reaction is so different than it is any other time of year.
Yeah, I guess the biggest way we both kind of talk about it, like I say, it doesn't matter who catches a fish, or it doesn't matter if I'm fishing with John or Denise or whoever. Someone catches a fish, first thing you do is say, where were they? Where were they up close? How far off the bank? What did the bite feel like? Did he pick it up? Did he swim? To key us in, because we're fishing so much slower, we need that feedback. So I guess the best way to describe the bite in the winter is something's different than what every other cast or every other retrieve. When you haven't caught a fish or you didn't feel something, a bite, and you're feeling it and you're working your bait and you're in tune with the bait, and something changes for no reason, I guess.
Right.
You're not moving the bait, you're not retrieving the bait, you're working the bait, and you know what it should be doing, how it should feel, and something changes. And that change is either a little bit of tension, a little pullback, a little weight, or the opposite. Nothing. No weight, no feedback, no resistance.
Why am I not feeling the bottom?
When I should be.
When you should be, right.
I've felt it for the last 8 foot of my retrieve, and now I don't feel my weight, or I don't feel my bait, that fish has got it. So that's what your bite's going to feel like in the wintertime. You know, it's very, very subtle bite, you know.
And your
So-
reaction, your reaction of that, the minute you know something's something's different, it's like it seems, you know, at that point, the minute set the hook. So it's
Right.
yeah, because that delay.
Yeah, like I don't know, maybe like rubber worm, you know, worm. I say rubber worm, plastic worm, whatever. Sometimes we tend to let them take it and bring it in a little more. Maybe the swamp bug, something like that. Like we were saying, something with a little bit of a more trailer or more action on the end of it that they may tend to pick up a little bit and carry it out away or move it and then finish sucking it in. You might wait, give it a little bit of time to do that. You know, jigs, obviously the little 3/8 ounce zapper that I always use, you know, especially in the winter, and I spider it up. You can see it's spidered up, you know, finessey. It's a finesse bait. I cut down the ring crawl a little bit so it's up tight, natural color, and that bait on a jig, I don't know what it is. It seems to me like on a jig they seem to suck that whole bait in. That's why the finesse, so it's a smaller profile. If I feel anything, I set the hook. I don't wait. I don't give them no chance to feel resistance or spit it out or nothing. So if my jig bite or hook set is immediate, you know. So on the jerk baits, Denise, you've been throwing the jerk bait while I've been kind of concentrating on the bottom. What do you like with your jerk baits? What color are you throwing? Line size, and how do you work it? How you been working here to start recently?
Well, when we talk about your temperature change and then the water level coming down, you are gonna have to adapt your retrieve. This is exactly what I had tied on. I had a 110 +1 tied on. I've got it on an 8 to 10 pound test. I have it on a Falcon, the Falcon jerkbait rod. And this bait, I did put.
What color is this?
This is Spawn Cherry.
Spawn Cherry. So you can see it's kind of a iridescent pink hue, white. Got a kind of a chartreuse bottom. It's a pretty good all around flash in dirty water, clean water, sunny.
Yeah.
And she throws that a lot.
Yeah. Just had, you have, I could probably get away with probably about 3 different colors, and your Wakasaki and your Edo Natural. Right now I'm digging it in pretty quick on the cast, and then working it pretty fast.
Up until next week, probably.
Up until next week, yeah. So I think that'll slow things down, and you just kind of have to watch your live scope, watch how they're reacting to it. You might need to get even a little bit deeper. You just kind of have to definitely let the fish tell you how you need to be presenting.
And the biggest thing is knowing when you do catch a fish, like when she was catching them the other day, was it sitting still when they hit it, or were you moving it when they hit it? That's kind of big. If they're hitting it every single time when it is sitting still, then let that bait sit more. Let it sit more. If that's what's creating a bite, and they're coming up and looking at it, and if it's sitting there and they eventually take it, let it sit longer.
And it was beginning to get like that,
Yeah.
where it was the when you let it sit, that's when they
We're hitting it. So
yeah.
compared to if she's like, well, I was working it, I was jerking in the middle of a second jerk, and it hit it. Well, speed it up. If they want it move and hurt,
Sure.
speed it up. You want to be more productive throughout each cast, because we are going slow.
Mm-hmm.
What's this color? Is that Edo?
No.
there's several colors, you know, like I said, the clown color,
Oh, it's,
this is called clown, this is Smithwick Rogue. Everyone makes a clown color, but there are certain days where that bright color just gets reaction. We've been throwing these for 40 years probably, you know, and it's a very productive bait. It's still productive bait. It's just Smithwick. These are $5, you know. They're really cheap. They're really durable, and they've actually got some decent hooks on them, you know. And like I said, when we're throwing up close to the bank, right up on these rocks, a lot of times I'll reach for this bait because I can throw it on rocks and hit it. You know, I can hit the rock and pull it in or let it, you know, tick it and not worry about breaking the bill. So, you know, these baits like this, the Smithwick, the Lucky Craft, this little Lucky Craft, this is a table rock shad. It's got a purple back, kind of a chartreuse bone side. You know, this is the Pointer 78. Really, really good for numbers of fish. Catches a lot of Kentuckies. It also catches the crappie. But were you going to say something?
yeah, this is the Wakasagi, which is your,
The Wakasaki kind of got a gold colored back, kind of a purplish tail, kind of a white purplish belly. This is just a Mega Bass Vision 110. Really good, you know, standard stick bait, I guess. Like she said, she's got her box here. I can probably see 20 different colors, but honestly, you could probably pick 4 colors throughout the entire winter stick bait season and probably do well with picking those 3. Like, so there are 4 best. I would say this Wakasaki, the Spawn Cherry, something with a little more
Eagle Natural, I like.
Eagle Natural, and then I'm probably gonna go with the Pearl. You know, very all around great colors, kind of shady color, crawfishy color, pick up sunlight, maybe a little better in a little stained water, you know. But like the Pearl gives great flash when it's sunny. It also gives you a lot of visual when it's kind of off color. So that Pearl color is probably one you could pick up and throw a lot, you know. So just to keep it simple when you're out there, you know, on these stick baits, you want to throw it on 8-pound test or 10-pound fluorocarbon. It's going to let your baits work properly. You know, give it the action. You know, you want it to move a lot, flash a lot, rattle by sitting in place within a small strike zone. You don't want to have to be doing all that and moving it a lot of times. The more you can let it sit in place and bounce it back and forth in place, or pop it a little, give it a rattle, maybe dive a little bit, and stay within that little range, the better I think you're going to be. You know,
suspend dots or suspend.
Yeah, suspend dots.
The strips.
Some of the guys, like I was saying before, Bass and Bob's Winter Series. It's a great tournament series for everybody to come out and fish. You know, obviously there's a lot of different ways to get a check or whatever, but a lot of deals is, and we did it, talking to some of the guys that did real well, saying, hey, what was going on? You guys, you know, throwing a stick bait, and they both told us they were putting one set of wire on their hooks, obviously to get it to sink, and they're watching them on live scope or whatever forward facing they had, and they were letting that bait sink down 10, 12, 15 foot, and even mentioned hitting the bottom and kind of getting hung up a little bit and pulling it loose, and that's what was getting the bites. They were sinking it down. You know, some days these fish will come 6 foot, 8 foot off of the bottom and hit your baits. Other days they might come 2 foot off of the bottom. So it makes a world of difference. We've said it time and time again. We watch it on the live scope all the time. Before, you were like fish ain't here, they're just not here, we got to move, whatever. Now you're working these baits and you'll see that fish finally come off of the bottom, and they kind of, some days they shoot off of the bottom, they come direct, and they crash into that bait and they hit it. Other days they'll creep up, they'll come 2 foot, they'll come another 2 foot, and they creep their way up to that bait until they finally hit it. I don't know why, what reason, what causes them. Crappie are the same way. It's just the mood of some of these fish. So, you know, these are the baits. We're going to stick with these baits through March. You know, obviously there's some other baits. Obviously the Alabama rig, it's a huge player right now. You can work him for, you know, same the suspended fish alongside docks, over the top of brush piles, on little drops, little breaks. You know, this one here, this is, there's a lot, tons of brands of Alabama rigs out here. This is one of the hog farmers. And I like the hog farmer because it's got the, I guess I'd call it a split ring on top. I don't know if you can see it, but when you're storing this bait, is you just fold it down and you pull that little ring down, and you can condense that bait. Now you can put your bait wrap on the top of it and close it up, and it's not all over, it's not getting hung and everything. Why they don't all have that, I don't know. You know, Cellular makes a great one. Flash Mob Junior makes a good one. But you can see this little thing slides on and off. You slip that up, boom, and it opens up. And now you can adjust it, you know, out how you want. If you want it to be real wide, so it flexes when you're reeling it in, or if you want it tight, it depends. That's up to you. Putting whatever swim baits you want on it, or other Kitex, Reactions, Zooms. Who else makes, you know, there's all kind of little swim baits out there. Most of them, a lot of them are copied. A lot of them are the same version of someone else's. You know, we all know the fishing industry. There's a lot of people have original ideas and original baits, and everyone else copies. So that's just the fishing industry. I tend to stick with the originals, but that's probably my favorite Alabama rig, just because of that little feature. Now on the other ones, like
can do a zip tie.
Yeah, whatever brand. Exactly. You take these little electrical zip ties, the small ones, you wrap it around there, you pull it up, not obviously not tight, but a little loose on there where it won't slide down your rig when you're using it. But let me back up. You put it on there, you zip it where you want, and you take a pair of snips, obviously, and you snip off that excess. Now you've got the exact same thing here that you can slide up and down that bait and to store it. You know, it makes the day go a lot easier. You got gloves on. You don't want to be messing with these baits, untangle them if they're in your rod storage or out here with your other stuff. You know,
yeah,
so
it helps you in the boat, but also outside of your boat when you're going from place to place.
Right, keeps it from getting tangled.
Yeah.
Just makes the day go better. So that's a little tip we use. I don't know. You know, kind of looking at this, that you could take a big round split ring and put one on yourself.
You'd have to take it through every.
You might, yeah. I don't know. I think just buy one that's already got it on there. You know, so either way, you know, the Alabama rig, you know, I throw it on 50-pound braid. I know some guys throw it on like 25 monofilament or 25 fluorocarbon. You know, if you're fishing, like we said, if you're fishing around cables, brush piles, drops, rocks, whatever, and you get it hung up with the braid, and you're throwing a light wire hook, you can pull it, bend it straight, or open it up, or even flip over a rock and get this whole rig back. Where your monofilament or fluorocarbon, you might break it and lose it. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't throw it. I throw it. I like to throw it because it's definitely productive. It's not my go-to. So, you know, as far as do you get more bites with
Right.
fluorocarbon compared to mono, not necessarily. I think it all depends on the fish's mood. So and a reel on these. Obviously, this is an old Quantum Energy. I don't throw it reel for nothing. I couldn't get this reel adjusted when I tried to flip with it or anything else, but it works excellent for braid. I spooled up with braid. I use that same reel for my top water, my buzzbaits, my whoppers, my Alabama rig. So I kind of got a couple reels dedicated to just braid. The braid never comes off of that reel. So if you got some reels that maybe they don't necessarily work great for flipping, want to override on you, spool them up with some braid, spray them down with your Real Magic stuff to keep that line moist. It will help it quite a bit also for your life of that line on that reel. Other baits that are coming into play, and they're really going to come into play as this water temp drops and that fish get real sluggish. This is just this is a spinning rod reel setup, another Falcon Kara spinning rod. It's a 7-foot rod, medium rod action. It's spooled up with 20-pound high vis yellow braid, and then I've got a leader of 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, about a 12-foot leader, and I've got a little 3/16 ounce Crappie shaky football head, and then I got the little shorty on the back of it that I use for my Ned rig style. It's got a little action. It moves a little bit, but it's still very small, compact bait just to get bites. And you can catch some big fish on that. Didn't a guy win the bass on it a year ago? He won on the Ned rig. Remember, we were all making fun of the Ned rig. I remember we were doing a fishing report, and we were making fun of the guy throwing a Ned rig, and I'll be darned if the Ned rig didn't win the big bass. And the kid threw the Ned rig and won the big bass. So is it a small bait? Yeah, will it catch small fish? Yeah, but it will also catch some big fish. If anything, a lot of times you use like this type of style bait, either it'll be like a little shorty, or a lot of times we'll take like the mag finesse bait that Zoom has, this one, and we'll just cut it in half. We'll cut that bait right in half and use each end as your Ned rig. It works great, goes a long ways. You cut it in half, you use it for a while. If it gets kind of wilded out, not staying on anything, you just take it off and flip it over. You can get a lot of fish out of one bait by doing that. Another little bait that we like to use on the Ned rig, we'll just call it the Ned rig, being small finesse, is just the ring crawl, the Crappie ring crawl, all by itself. No jig, you just rig that on there at a little 3/16, and you take that little thing and hop it down some little steeper banks, let it lay there, pop it a little bit. Talk about getting a lot of bites, very productive. That bait alone can catch you a lot of fish, especially when they start dropping this water. And when they really start pulling that water, and it exposes these rocks and these crawfish that think they're safe for the winter, and now they pull that water out from under them, eventually they're going to come out and get back in that water. And that water might be 40 degrees, 38, 39, but if there's no water, them crawfish are coming out and they're going to get back in the water. That's going to put them extremely shallow. So you throw a little jig, a little finesse jig up there, a little ring crawl, little swamp bug, something right on the bank, your stick bait, them fish are up there. They know it. They know where the food is and how to find it. So just be aware of that when they start pulling that water real hard. And then any other baits that you've been throwing or we've been dealing with that I'm overlooking?
Crappie.
Yeah, we'll talk about crappie first.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily just crappie.
Right. The crappie, obviously, as far as bass, stick to Stick, I would say bigger rocks, transition banks, obviously, of any sort. When I say transition, that could be it could be shelf rock, bluff to a rock transition, big rock to smaller rock, and even rock to little pea gravel mix. These bass, they're full of eggs already, so their mindset, their spawning mentality, all that's already coming into play. I don't care if we're just getting into the winter. They've already got eggs in them. The crappie got eggs. We've caught some and filleted them. They've got eggs in them. If the crappie got eggs, obviously the bass have eggs too. So fish all these baits around some sort of transition. You can start on like main lake pockets, towards the back of these pockets, right on the corners of these pockets, midway in these pockets. These smaller pockets you can fish from the main lake point, bluffy, steep, all the way to nothing in just 40, 50 yards. Kind of give you an idea. You can fish in the back of creeks. It's real windy, rough. You want to get out of it, go to back to some of these creeks and try the exact same thing. Your boat, if you've got 8 to 10 foot of water, you can catch fish out of it. I mean, you don't have to be sitting out in deep, super deep water in the winter at all. Obviously that's our style of fishing. We probably catch more fish 10 foot and less throughout the entire year than anywhere. There's only a few times a year, honestly, that we go a whole lot deeper than that. Right. We started talking about crappie. Crappie's been good. We went out the other day. This was your setup. Tell them what that is.
Yeah, I have it set up on a is it B&M?
Yeah, B&M shooter.
B&M sharpshooter rod and 6 pound vicious line, and I just set it up on a 16th ounce. The fall of the 16th ounce seems to be works well, and I have it set up on the Kitech Easy Shiner, which we talk a lot about it. I always talk to a lot of people in Fitz's about it. It's the Easy Shiner 3-inch. This works great.
3-inch
Little
Easy
3-inch
Shiner.
Easy Shiner.
This one's called Blue Red.
Pro Blue Red Pearl.
Yeah.
And then we've got electric shad. That's another one to pick up.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. I picked this up several times, even bass fishing. If you kind of have a lull, I'll throw this for a little bit and kind of catch a few on it, and one thing I do think that's the good idea to have is that sickle hook is really a little better hook that helps
Definitely.
with your hookups on either your bass or your crappie. So this would be perfect.
You got
setup.
that split up with the high vis. For the crappie, if you're shooting, if you're vertically jigging or even reeling it, obviously that bait, the Easy Shiner tail, kicks. So that's for swimming over, through the fish, over brush piles, even shooting up in alongside big boats, the big cruiser boats that are in the slips, shooting up alongside there, let it sink down and swimming that along there. Been really good. When was it? Thursday we were out?
Yeah.
Thursday we were out, and we were seeing a lot of crappie, a lot of big schools starting to set up out in the center. After this week, we're going to have a lot of them out there in the center. And we were watching, and actually there was another boat pulled up, asked how we were doing, and we're like seeing a ton of them, getting a lot of followers, and they were like, same with us. A lot of fish, just not biting. So I went back to kind of an old faithful deal. In the wintertime, I put on the old funky chicken. No, it ain't funky chicken. Electric funky chicken. That was the old dance. That was the old dance we used to do. The funky chicken dance. This is electric chicken color on a little 16th ounce head, and you can see I got about 3.5, 4 foot, and I got a little bobber on there. If you throw this little rig over past these crappie and reel it very slow, let them waves kind of bounce it and stop it. Because when you're reeling it, that thing kind of pendles up, and then you stop it and it swims down real slow, swims towards them fish. And these fish might be, right now they might be 3 foot under the surface, they might be 8 foot under the surface. But you bring this thing, set it 4 foot, and them fish are set up at 6, 8 foot below the surface, and you stop it, and just a little wave action, that thing moving, they can't resist it, they'll come up. We were sitting on that pile of crappie, and we catch 1 or 2. Those guys came in, we talked to them a little bit, they left, and I got to thinking about, they said they were having a lot of followers, and we were too. I switched up to that little bobber, and a little 16th ounce with the little electric chicken, and went to catching them. And we caught several of them giant, big fish that were following our bait. Now we just set it in front of them. It's like, just put something in front of them and leaving it there. They can't take it. It's kind of funny. Some days you'll see a big wad of these crappie, the big ones, and you bring it right above them, and these here kind of move and reacts, and then way down here, 8 foot below them, something triggers and one shoots up through this whole school and grabs your jig. I don't know what the deal is, but it happens a lot, So either way, if you're not seem like you're catching what you want to, with a jerkbait, little stick bait, like I said, this little table rock shad, little pointer 78 by Lucky Craft, it's probably one of the best crappie, big crappie stick baits out there. It only goes about, 6 foot, maybe 5 foot. So they got to be fairly active to hit that. And then, obviously throwing that easy shiner. But if that doesn't work, get you a little bobber, a little crappie, little straight tail. I got several here that I like to use. Obviously blue ice is excellent. Probably the electric chicken is a really good one. Monkey milk, that's a good one. And then I got a little one. It's purple and chartreuse. What's that called? Gumdrop. It's a little purple chartreuse. I kind of go through them, different colors on my little bobber setup. Or if you're vertically jigging, one of those colors is probably all you really need. Chartreuse and black, that can be a good one too. So, man, that's pretty much it. It ain't a whole lot going to change. For the next several months, obviously. This next week we're going to have the biggest change as far as water conditions and water level. And then we're going to get down around that 38 degrees and we're going to hover there for a while. Now, I don't know, the extended forecast, it might be going to come up a little bit, so we'll creep back up maybe 40. But once we do these different stages, we dropped mid 50s, we finally got to 50, and we stabled it out there. And then we kind of moved a little upper 40s, and we dropped to 45, 44, 45, and we've been stuck there for a while. Now we're going to drop to 38 to 42, and we're going to sit there for quite a while, most of the winter, unless we get a couple really good hard snaps and sticks like that, and then we're going to drop a little lower until that water gets hard, But man, other than that,
Slow
presentations, obviously dress. We said it last time. We say it all the time. Dress for the weather to make yourself comfortable. It's worth buying the best gear you can get. Buy something comfortable. Buy something that's well made. Obviously, something comfortable is probably the biggest thing. It's got to be comfortable. If you're out there and you're not comfortable, you're already out there in the cold. It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So
And you know, like your Reaper sweatshirts and things like that. Some of that gear that you buy and purchase can be used when you're hiking, or when you're you're going for a walk, or
That Reaper, I wear it.
Yeah.
I wear it all the time, and obviously everyone's probably familiar with them now. But even in the winter time, you kind of overlook it. You kind of think, but cardiac related, whatever, that if you're breathing through that, it's warming that air up just enough where you're not breathing in that cold air constantly. I don't care if you're shoveling snow, like she said, hiking, whatever you're doing out in the weather. If you can get you a layer of air between that bitter cold and before it goes in your lungs, it's going to be a lot easier on your body. Sucking in that cold air is going to constrict your vessels a lot quicker than if you can breathe in some air that went through a little layer. Just those little things. Obviously.
This time of year too, I find that I get all the my bulky gear on. I leave my life jacket on. I've got my life jacket here.
That's probably the best pointer. She just mentioned it.
I leave it on. A lot of times if I'm out, anytime I'm in the boat, I've got this on, and it's just nice and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And
you
I
can
wear
see
it
this is
year-round.
How do you say that? Onyx.
Onyx. Mm-hmm.
Onyx. I think we got this off of Tackle Warehouse.
Yeah.
This one might have been $100 maybe.
Yeah.
$120. Really good quality. But like she's saying, in the wintertime, leave the thing on. Don't take it off. You're up on the front deck, and things are slick. Obviously you got all this clothes on, bulky. We're not moving around as agile. Probably just a good idea to just leave the life jacket on, especially that with buying good clothes. You buy a decent jacket that fits you right and it's comfortable. You don't think nothing of it.
Yeah,
keeping it on.
Fitz has these life jackets
brand,
too. Yeah, you can try them on in the store.
There you go.
That's also
Yep.
Yep.
Obviously, so just some small things like that. Man, I don't know what else we can tell you other than this is a good time of year. Obviously,
hot hands in the value pack.
Is this next week we're not going out. Well, actually, we're going south. Come Monday, we're headed south where it's warm again. But then we'll be back in a week and we'll be ready to fish again. So, I've my maintenance on my batteries on my XBI, my 360s from Wholesale Batteries. Like I said, if you got any questions on batteries, I don't care if it's rods, reels, batteries, clothing, boats, motors, trucks. Talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about. So Wholesale Batteries, I got questions. I don't care if it was I had an old truck I just sold, and I called them about a battery. I don't care if it's my key fob battery, my batteries for my boat, obviously, which is most important to me, is maintenance on those. Before where I'm running 3 Expion 360 lithiums in mine, and I'm running 1 Group 31 Deca on my starting battery and my electronics. And at least the lithiums, those are only a year old. They've got a 12-year warranty. I'm not worried about them. Your other batteries, I used to get a year and a half out. Obviously, we charge our batteries all the time. So I'm going on, it'll be 2 years in March for this battery, and I'm not seeing that Group 31 Deca give me any kind of voltage drop throughout the day, any issues with my electronics, starting, charging, fully charging, anything. So it's that's just like the clothing we talked about. It's worth doing your research on your batteries or anything you buy. But since we're talking about batteries, do your research on them. Look it up online. Do a search of the companies. Do a search of the battery brand. find out what they're about, where they're made, how the research, what went into it. And like I said, wholesale batteries, there's one in Kansas City, one in St. Louis. Of course, you can buy things online. Call them. Just call them and say, here's what I got. Here's what I'm running. What do I need? Okay, and then vice versa. If you call me and you're having an issue with a battery, any battery, say, here's the issue I'm having. What's going on? What do I need to do? And they're gonna help you, because that's what they do. Batteries, nothing else. They don't do all this other stuff. That's what they do. That's their profession. They're gonna tell you. So just like anything, go to the source. I use that all the time. I get all my stuff from the source, you know. So whoever's the best at it, that's who I want to talk to, and they'll set you up. Which leads me into the next thing. This is a good week to mess with your boats, your tackle, batteries. This is a good time if you've run your batteries all year, 6 months. Loosen them up, take everything off each terminal, clean every single wire connector, your electronics, your battery charger, your starting battery, any accessories. Clean each and every one with a wire brush or a little light sandpaper, and then clean the terminal, your battery terminal, where they connect, whether it be brass or lead. Clean that up real good, and then stack them back on there properly, each individual one, and then secure it properly. That's going to take care of 80% of any of your problems when it comes to getting your batteries fully charged, your starting your motors properly, running your electronics, your live wells, whatever. The very first thing is your connections on your batteries once you have the proper batteries. So that's something good, you know, in the wintertime. Take the time and do a little preventive maintenance. Everything, you've heard me say it before, everything on these boats, I don't care what brand you have, what electronics you have, what motor you run, it all comes down to the batteries. If you don't have the right batteries in the right conditions, set up with the right voltage, the right wire, none of this stuff will work. So just keep that in mind. It will make your trips a lot more enjoyable, a lot less issues when you're on the water. So great time to go through everything. Your tackle, you know, obviously there's a ton of tackle in this Vexus. I'm about to shed a bunch of it because there's a lot of top water stuff. There's a lot of deep diving crankbaits. There's a lot of big worms. There's a lot of plastics, glide baits. There's a lot of stuff in here that's about ready to come out, and I'm gonna put just a handful of little jigs, little jig trailers, stick baits, some Alabama rigs, some things like that. I'm flipping it over to wintertime gear. I don't need all that extra stuff in there. When you store your rods and stuff, buy you a good rod holder. You can see a couple back here. We've got several, our guide trip rods over in Denise's side. We've got rod holders. Put them all standing up straight. Don't lean them in the corner where they're going to take a bend or maybe get knocked into or tangled up. Line them all up. Keep them straight. You know, don't put a lot of tension on them tips. You know, loosen that line up.
Good time to pick up, you know, your jerkbait, or you know, if I pick up one jerkbait, well, next thing you know, I've got 2 or 3. You know, so you're organizing that's another good thing to work on this time of year. Organize
your color, your size, your depth, your color, even your brand. You know, I like on my stick baits, I've got Mega Bass in one, I've got Lucky Craft in one, I've got Smithwick in one, and I've got them separated like that. And then I've got color, you know, bright colors, dark color, flashy colors, you know, depth wise, small ones, deeper diver ones. You know, it's a good chance to organize everything. You know, my shaky head, same deal. You know, just your jigs. I've got a 1/2 ounce box for all my 1/2 ounce. I've got a 3/8 for all my 3/8, and then it's same deal with color. You know, obviously my jig colors. I've got like 3 jig colors I throw throughout the entire year. So I've got them in there. Just organize. Organization is probably one of the top things when it comes to having successful days, whether just out fishing or especially tournament fishing, because we're talking about time. Being organized, knowing where everything's at in your boat. I don't know what else. Things we can tell you. Obviously, we do always tell you, please don't hesitate to either call me, text me, 573-204-9005, or Denise is
314-226-3099.
On questions on anything. If it's boat related, fishing related, we travel down to Cosmo. We've got some relations, we've established friends down there. Before we go down there, if we've got questions while we're there, we call a local, we text a local and get an immediate, honest answer back. Same thing here. If you're coming here and you need to know where to get your tires fixed, or you have a tire go bad, on your boat trailer, I'm gonna tell you, go to Clark's here in Sunrise Beach. If you want to know, where do you get, breakfast, gas, where's an easy in, easy out, where can I get my lunch sandwich, my breakfast sandwich, a pizza for the evening, we're gonna send you to CG's down there, across, right next to Sport World Boat Center, where it's all right there. You have issues with boats, motors, electronics. If you want to get into, if you don't have Garmin's, you want to get into Garmin's, you want to get into Live Scope, you want someone to set it up, tell you how to set it up. Sport World Boat Center is your Garmin dealer here at the lake. They use it, they're experienced with it. They're the first ones here at the lake with it. And they will set it up for you. They can install it and take care of you. Anything with your boats, motors. I think Gary and them have probably went through all the motors. They repair a lot of them. Obviously, they were the Evinrude dealer. Now they're Mercury dealer. They work on everything. They bailed a lot of people out of a lot of bad situations when they come to the lake. They're just that type of a dealership. Restaurants, if you want to come down here and say, hey, I want a good steak, I want whatever, we're going to send you wherever, over at Bentley's over on the other side of the lake. Just a good meal for your money. I'm going to go out, I'm going to say the best, I don't know. I ain't going to say that far, but the best meal for your money, chances are, Brandon Iron, obviously we're over here on this west side, even Trails End for a nicer little upper scale, totally different than chances are Trails End, but chances are their food, they've been there forever. They're quick, fast service, cheap, everything you're wanting down here. Places to stay, resorts, anything we can help you with. I mean it. Send us a text and we will get back with you immediately. And anything we can help you with, please give us a call or text. And obviously, if we can help you, family member, friends, whatever, with a guide trip in the winter, in the spring, in the summer, throughout the entire year, please give us a call. We'll keep doing these videos, this report. We hope you get a lot out of it. We get a lot of feedback from it, and we use that feedback for our further in the future reports. We're going to start getting into a lot of other things in these reports. We're going to do some on a different YouTube channel. We're going to be switching things over to James and Denise Dill Guide Service on YouTube. So you go to YouTube. Is it James and Denise or just James? I'm not sure. I'll get it clarified. We developed or established another YouTube channel that we're going to be doing, switching everything, reports to that. Obviously, it'll still be on Crappie, it'll still be on that always. But we're going to do chicken wing recipes, crappie recipes, all the crappie recipes we use, a lot of different things that we all like to do, even preparing pheasants, ducks, you name it. All this different stuff that we all like to do away from fishing, we're going to incorporate and add a lot of that to that. So I've already run this on a lot longer, but we always got a lot to say, and we want to communicate it all to you. So until a week or so, y'all enjoy this cold weather. We're going to be wearing shorts and flip-flops in about a day and a half. So everybody out there, if you don't go on a trip, it's your fault. Pack up, go on a trip, regroup, and then come back into this cold. Yeah. But either way, we'll keep you up to date as things change, and we've got new info for it. But until then, thanks a lot for tuning in. Please subscribe if you haven't. Click like, and then by all means, most important, give us a comment of anything. We like your report. Your report stinks. Tell us more about this. Do more about that. Whatever it is. I don't care what it is. Please give us a comment so we can better give you reports. So until we do another one, we'll see you in a week or so.
Thank you.